Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Are you ready for some exciting Marvel gaming news?
Always.
Today, we're diving into the news that the Fantastic Four are coming to Marvel Rivals.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
It's really got people talking and speculating.
For sure.
We came across an article recently that dropped this bombshell. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Thing, and Human Torch are all set to join the game.
And the article even features some key art showing the team with their trusty robot pal HERBIE right there with them.
Ooh, interesting. Do you think HERBIE could actually be playable?
Maybe. I mean, we've seen games do some pretty creative things with companion characters before.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if he's not a playable character himself, he could still have a big impact on how the Fantastic Four play, their abilities and stuff.
I could definitely see him having some kind of support role.
Totally. Like maybe he could give the team shields or buffs.
Yeah, something like that.
This all leads into the bigger question, though, right? How are they going to bring the Fantastic Four's unique powers and teamwork into Marvel Rivals gameplay?
Right. It's not just about their individual powers, it's how they work together as a team.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see how the developers handle that synergy.
Yeah, because it's a fast-paced game.
Definitely.
And you've got Mr. Fantastic stretching everywhere, Invisible Woman with her force fields, things smashing things up,
Yeah.
Human Torch flying around shooting fire.
It's going to be a challenge to balance all of that.
But Marvel Rivals has been pretty good so far about giving characters unique and interesting abilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Look at how they did Iron Man.
Right. He's got all those gadgets, and they really captured that versatility.
And they made him feel completely different from Thor,
Right.
who's more about that up-close combat and big area attacks.
Exactly.
So I think they'll find a way to do the Fantastic Four justice.
Speaking of justice,
Yeah.
did you see that Marvel Rivals already has over 20 million players?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. It took off so fast. Just 2 weeks after launch, it was breaking records left and right.
And now it's got the biggest Discord server in gaming history.
It's insane.
Can you imagine the hype around this new character reveal with a community that big?
Oh, it's going to be wild. I think it really shows how much people love live service games, especially when they're based on something as big as Marvel.
Definitely. They can keep players engaged with those constant updates and new content.
Oh, yeah. Surprises like this one.
Speaking of surprises, do we know when they're actually releasing the Fantastic Four?
Well, the article didn't mention a specific date, but
Yeah.
it did say there's a new trailer coming out on January 6th.
Oh, nice. So just a few days away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll give us a better idea of when we can actually play them.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
In the meantime, all we can really do is speculate.
True.
What are your initial thoughts on how each member of the Fantastic Four might play?
Okay, well, let's start with Mr. Fantastic.
All right, Mr. Fantastic.
His stretching abilities seem perfect for getting around and reaching things, right?
Yeah.
I could see him being able to grab onto things in the environment.
Okay.
Maybe even swing across the map like a stretchy Spider-Man.
I like that.
And then offensively, he could grab enemies from a distance.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Or even wrap them up.
Interesting. What about defense?
I'm thinking he could use his elasticity to make some temporary shields.
Oh,
Maybe even absorb some damage for his teammates.
that would be awesome.
What about Invisible Woman?
Ooh, yeah, her powers seem tricky to translate into a game.
You're not wrong. But they could be super versatile.
Like how?
Well, invisibility is obviously great for stealth, right?
Makes sense.
So she could be amazing at sneaking up on enemies and ambushing them.
Uh-huh. And her force fields?
Those could definitely be used defensively,
Yeah.
like creating a barrier to block attacks.
Or to protect teammates.
Exactly. Or think about this.
Yeah.
They could even be used offensively, like maybe trapping enemies inside a force field.
Ooh, that would be so cool.
It would be really interesting if they tied her force fields into crowd control somehow.
I see what you're saying.
Like maybe pushing enemies away.
Yeah. Or messing with their positioning.
Now you're getting it.
All right, what about the Thing?
The Thing.
Yeah.
Well, he seems like the classic brawler type, right?
Definitely.
I bet he'll be the tank of the team.
Makes sense.
Able to take a ton of damage and dish it out with those powerful melee attacks.
He could totally dominate in close combat.
Absolutely. Plus, they could give him some cool environmental interactions.
Like what?
Like maybe he could smash through certain walls.
Well, yeah.
Or obstacles, creating new paths for the team.
I like it. Okay, that leaves us with Human Torch.
Human Torch. The hothead.
He seems like the most mobile one.
Totally.
Yeah.
And probably the most explosive.
Yeah,
I think his ability to fly will be huge for his gameplay.
I bet. Zipping around the map, getting the jump on enemies.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, of course, you've got his fire powers.
Oh, yeah, those are going to be a big part of his offense, right?
Definitely. I'm picturing a mix of ranged attacks and some big area of effect
Like a
abilities.
giant fiery explosion that takes out a whole group of enemies?
Exactly. They could even give him some unique movement
Like
options,
what?
like maybe dashing through the air with a burst of flames.
Oh, that would be
All
awesome.
right. Just thinking about how they might use the Fantastic Four's powers in Marvel Rivals is so exciting.
It really is. The possibilities are endless.
And that's what makes this announcement so huge. It's not just about adding new characters.
Yeah.
It's about adding a whole new dimension to the gameplay
So true.
and opening up all these new strategic possibilities.
It's like a whole new chapter for Marvel Rivals.
Totally. And given how successful the game already is, I think this is just the beginning.
I think you're right. I bet we're going to see a lot more exciting additions to the game in the future.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
Me too. But for now, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into what the Fantastic Four coming to Marvel Rivals could mean for the game's future.
Sounds good. I'm ready for more. One thing that really strikes me about the Fantastic Four is how much they're all about teamwork.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not just about each of them having their own powers
Right. It's about how they use those powers together.
and how they support each other.
Exactly. And I think Marvel Rivals could really lean into that, you know?
No.
Like, imagine if they had game modes or challenges that were all about team synergy,
I like that.
where you really have to work together to win.
Yeah, like maybe there's a mission where you need Mr. Fantastic to stretch and reach a high platform,
Okay, I'm following.
and then Invisible Woman creates a force field to protect everyone,
Okay.
while the Thing smashes through some kind of barrier,
Yeah.
and then finally, Human Torch flies up and takes out a bunch of enemies.
That's a great example. It would really make players think strategically
Sure.
and use everyone's strengths to the fullest.
And it would be so much fun to watch, too.
Imagine pro teams coming up with crazy strategies based on the Fantastic Four's synergy.
That would be insane.
It could totally change the whole meta.
And speaking of the meta,
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how the Fantastic Four's powers will work with the other heroes that are already in the game.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much potential there for cool combos and counter strategies.
Think about it. Mr. Fantastic could use his stretching to pull enemies right into range of Thor's hammer.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or Invisible Woman could use her force fields to block Hawkeye's arrows.
Or, how about this?
Yeah.
Human Torch could combine his fire with Captain America's shield
Whoa.
to create this crazy fiery projectile.
I love it.
It's going to be awesome to see how players experiment with different team setups once the Fantastic Four are in the game.
I know. And it's not just about the gameplay either.
True.
The Fantastic Four bring a whole lot of lore and story to the game, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've got such a long history in Marvel.
And they have iconic villains like Dr. Doom and Galactus.
Imagine fighting Dr. Doom in his castle in Latveria,
Oh, that would be epic.
or trying to stop Galactus from destroying the Earth.
It would be amazing to see those classic stories come to life in Marvel Rivals.
Totally. And we can't forget about customization.
Oh, the skins and emotes.
Right. I'm already picturing all the cool Fantastic Four skins.
Maybe they'll have a classic one based on their original comic book looks.
And then a futuristic one, maybe from some alternate timeline.
Yes. What about special emotes that show off their personalities?
It's like the Thing doing his "it's clobberin' time" pose.
And Mr. Fantastic stretching his arm out for a fist bump.
The possibilities are endless.
This whole thing really makes you appreciate how great live service games are.
Definitely, they just keep evolving and growing.
They're like a never-ending story.
And with the Fantastic Four joining, it's only going to get bigger and better.
I think it's safe to say we're all counting down the days until that trailer drops on January 6th.
It's going to be a long few days.
But so worth the wait.
You know, we've talked a lot about how the Fantastic Four might change the gameplay, but I think it's also important to remember how much they've influenced pop culture in general.
That's a good point.
Hmm.
I mean, they were Marvel's first family of superheroes.
Right. They paved the way for so many other iconic characters and stories.
And they've been popular for generations.
It's because people relate to their personalities.
Definitely. And they're all about family and teamwork.
And they always fight for what's right.
They really represent the best of humanity, even when they're facing crazy challenges.
And I think that's a message that always resonates no matter what they're doing, you know, in comics, movies, games.
Totally. And I think that's a big part of why people are so excited to see them in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
It's not just about the gameplay.
It's about connecting with those characters again.
And experiencing their stories in a new way.
It's about being a part of something bigger than yourself.
And feeling inspired by their hope and courage.
Well said. I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to say about the Fantastic Four coming to Marvel Rivals.
Unless there are any other surprises lurking out there.
At least until we see that trailer.
We've really gone deep on this one.
We sure have. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about while they wait for January 6th.
All right, so to wrap things up,
Yeah.
we've got this awesome news about the Fantastic Four coming to Marvel Rivals.
It's got to be one of the biggest gaming announcements lately, for sure.
Yeah, it really is.
The hype is definitely real, especially with that new trailer dropping on January 6th.
Oh yeah, just a couple of days away.
I'm telling you, that trailer's going to break the internet.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know, when you think about it, this is way more than just adding some new characters to the game.
Right. What do you think it means for Marvel Rivals in the long run?
Well, it could really change the game, you know?
How so?
Well, for starters, it's going to bring a whole bunch of new gameplay possibilities, new ways to play, new team dynamics, and it could even bring in a ton of new players.
Yeah, to that already massive Marvel Rivals community.
Exactly. It really shows the power of these live service games.
Yeah.
They can keep evolving and surprising players.
And build a real legacy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of surprises,
Yeah.
we haven't really talked about what this means for the competitive scene.
Oh, that's a great point. Marvel Rivals already has a huge esports following.
Your pro teams and big tournaments.
Yeah. Can you imagine the kind of strategies
Oh, man.
and team compositions we're going to see once the Fantastic Four are playable?
It's going to be wild.
Yeah, it's going to shake things up for sure.
Totally. This is going to make for some really exciting matches.
I can't wait. It makes this whole announcement even more exciting.
It really does. It shows that Marvel Rivals is more than just a game.
Yeah.
It's this constantly evolving world
Right.
where you can compete
Be creative.
and be part of this amazing community.
So true. Before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one last question to ponder.
Right. Hit me with it.
So how do you think adding the Fantastic Four will change the way people see and interact with the Marvel Universe inside the game?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's definitely going to add a new level of depth to the game's story.
Yeah, for sure. Could lead to some whole new storylines.
Right. New events.
Maybe even change relationships between characters.
It's going to be interesting to see how it affects the way people role play
Yeah,
or even just identify with their favorite heroes.
that's a great question to think about.
It really makes you think about the impact this is going to have beyond the gameplay itself.
It's not just about the mechanics, you know?
It's about being part of this world.
Exactly. It's about that feeling of immersion.
Well said.
Hmm.
I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the Fantastic Four joining Marvel Rivals.
It's been awesome talking about all the possibilities with you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.